It's 4th of December 2017, David Fisher for Derbyshire Cricket Heritage Project with
Wayne Madsen.
Wayne Madsen again. Thanks for your time, Wayne. Heard a bit before about your development as a cricketer. I'm interested in some of the contrast you've got in your career. Not just the contrast at the pitches, but because you used to be quite a, well, not quite, a very highly achieving hockey player.
Yeah, I think certainly the two sports kind of go hand in hand, both sort of bat and ball sports really. But hockey, in particular, looking at the cricket shots, so the sweeps, reverse sweeps, has played a big part in my development as a cricketer. So yeah, the contrast between the two sports is there, but I think there are a lot of similarities in terms of the ball striking.
So they're more complementary than contrasting.
Yeah, definitely. There's the contrast in terms of the movement and the running with the ball and all that sort of stuff. But certainly from a striking point of view, there are some similarities, and it complements each other well. Especially, for me, one of my big shots is a reverse sweep, and it's a natural hockey reverse hit for me. So it's been something that has played a big part, especially in I'd say quite a big part of my one-day development, but I've transferred that skill across into four-day cricket as well, and being able to release a bit of pressure with a reverse sweep has helped me on quite a few occasions.
Yeah, because you don't get left-handed hockey sticks, do you? You have to turn it over, and that's something you've definitely developed from your hockey side.
Yeah, definitely it is. Having to play the reverse hit in hockey, I've transferred that into the reverse, the switch hit, reverse sweep, whatever you want to call it.
You've almost make it look like a legitimate shot.
Well, it is.
It is now.
It certainly is, especially with 2020 cricket now, and the way it can manipulate the field just opens up different scoring areas for you as well.
Okay, but when you do play the reverse sweep, is that something you think, well, I'm going to just do it, or I want to upset the bowler somehow? What do you think when you do it?
Well, yeah, it's certainly premeditated, and it'll be down to whatever the situation of the game is. Looking at the field, the need for a boundary, or potentially for me, manipulating the field is probably the biggest part of it. Yeah. But it's become such a strength now, especially in one-day cricket, that it's almost a go-to for me against bowlers, because it's a 4, even a 6 option for me now.
You've been developing your strength a lot as well in the gym.
Well, yeah, a lot of work over the winters has certainly helped that.
But you find you can actually direct it, reverse sweep and the normal sweep, quite well.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big part of it, is being able to place it. So there's you obviously you're not 100% certain the line the bowler's going to bowl. But if I switch my feet, I'm likely to hit it a bit more sort of squarer, or in front of square if I wanted to. If I don't switch my feet around, I can get it pretty fine. So all depending on the line that the bowler bowls. But I'll probably have sort of 2 or 3 options available, sort of in the back of my head, to the different lines and lengths that they're going to bowl according to the field. So
you pick your trajectory, and then you think, well, I just need to move the foot backwards or forward, and
exactly. The length of the ball is obviously important as well. If I'm trying to get it over their heads, if it's shorter, I actually feel it's easier, because you just sort of pick it up and keep going with it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's one not exactly contrast. We've touched on another one, is difference between championship and limited overs. Well, that's obviously, the goal is different, because you've got a specific point to aim at with your T20 and 50 overs. But how do you feel the two match, contrast, complement each other?
Yeah, I think they're getting closer together, and with sort of 2020 cricket in particular having come into the game in the last sort of 10-15 years. For me, at the beginning of my career, I was seen as a 4-day player, both in South Africa and then when I arrived here. And the biggest change for me was probably going down the order. John, we identified that I played spin well, and John wanted me to John Morris wanted me to sort of come in the middle order when the spinners were likely to be bowling, give me a bit more of an opportunity against them. And I'd always opened in one-day cricket, and it was quite a nice change to go into the middle order. And I think the important thing as a cricketer nowadays is to keep evolving your skills, and that was one of the big things for me, is to develop different skills. I certainly wasn't one to strike the ball out the ground and clear the rope. I was more of a manipulator, that type of player, which actually then moving into the middle order helped me a lot to then sort of build the confidence and get going in one-day cricket. But as I say, you have to evolve as a cricketer. So developing my one-day skills and being able to strike the ball, range hitting, strike the ball out of the ground, has been a big part in my development. And how the two match up. What I've found is that there's times of the season where Championship cricket, when 2020 starts, Championship cricket, it's either teams get rolled out pretty quickly, or the scores are really high and they sort of the run rates are up at sort of 4.5, 5 almost. So there's definitely been a switch and a change in the mentality around the two games, and I think it's been a good thing in terms of how the game has developed. But the skills as a batter or bowler, the skills that you've got have to be even more refined, and you've got to make sure that you've got both aspects to playing. Otherwise, you'd have to probably just go down one route as a purely a T20 or purely a 4-day player.
Yeah, well, some players have done that, haven't they?
They have, and very successfully. But I think for me is to try and be a whole cricketer and be able to adapt to all situations, and that certainly helped my game in terms of both the red ball and the white ball stuff.
Yeah, your white ball cricket seemed to come along a lot more beneficially runs wise over the past 2 or 3 years, because you got 100 last season and a really horrible day at Headingley, didn't you?
Yeah, I think certainly that in terms of one-day cricket, I think it was probably 2014 where I got a couple of hundreds in 2 days, here against Hampshire and away at Bester, and my game really started to sort of, especially in white ball cricket, it had been sort of developing, but that's when it started to take off. But yeah, the 100 I scored against Yorkshire at Headingley, in a losing cause, we ended up getting pretty close in the end. But it's certainly an aspect of my game that I've improved greatly in terms of how I bat and how I construct an innings in one-day cricket. But all the skills, the reverse sweeps, and still being able to clear the boundaries straight, and it's been a big part of developing that, and moving me forward in 2020 cricket as well.
Yeah, is it the case that it's the same skills, but you've got to pick more times to apply them?
Well, there are a lot of similar skills, but they're contrasting skills as well. So certainly it takes the defensive aspects of the game away, and you've got to show a bit more positive intent to
attack is the best means of defence.
Well, it is exactly, and that's why I think it's helped me. It's helped me in both the red ball and the white ball. And 50 overs against T20. How do they contrast with each other, or is it again one's just more concentrated form? It is. It's more concentrated, but I think the addition of 2 white balls made a big difference with sort of keeping them apart, having and the 2 bumpers and over. It just gives the bowlers a little bit more of an edge for a longer period, where I think the batters wouldn't have quite the same advantage. Well, the bowlers wouldn't have the advantage that they do in terms of 50 over cricket with the two white balls. So that has kept them apart, I would say, and also the length of time. If you go too hard too early and you get skittled out, you've got to make sure you're timing that innings in 50 over cricket. Whereas in the 2020, it's a bit more. You can almost go. Well, nowadays guys just go from ball 1, and it certainly has evolved the game, the 2020 format.
You face that the other end as well now in the T20s. Pretty successful opening bowler. But you never thought that 10 years ago.
never thought that 2 years ago. No, I mean that is for me has evolved in terms of 2020 cricket. But being able to just bowl at the stumps, the batters they're going to take the risks, and so that's a big part of it as well. Is knowing that the batters have to under pressure to score. If I can tie them down or just bowl at the wickets, they've got to take the risks. They miss our hits, and that's my sort of philosophy on bowling in 2020 cricket. Just as straight as possible, and let them try and do the rest for me.
Yeah, good idea. Whose idea was this to begin with? Yours, Gary Wilson's, John Wright's? How did it come about?
I think the first time I did it was, I think I did it last season actually.
You did a bit of it.
Did a little bit of last season. But yeah, sort of discussing. It was probably Wills who pushed it in the end. Looking at what options we've got to try and leave our strike bowlers with a few overs at the end of the innings, but to try and get another couple of overs out in the power play. So yeah, it was probably a combination of John and Wils's to look at the structure of how we go about the 20 overs. And obviously paid off a little bit. I was fortunate enough to be successful with doing it at the top of the order.
Yeah, you're looking forward to T20 in 2018 as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great season for me personally, but also for the club. We've made huge strides in terms of how we're performing and playing. We're developing a bit of a game plan and method to our T20 cricket, and it's exciting and bodes well for next season, or the next couple of seasons really, in terms of how we progress.
Okay, and a good T20, less than the usual standards in the Championship. Is that because you've got the T20 and that disrupted your balance of your Championship form?
Yeah, I struggled to put a sort of find the exact reason why, and there were sort of different ways I was getting out. There was no sort of standout reason why I was getting out, but it could have been. I've personally had quite a lot on this year in terms of new baby, testimonial, level 4. So there's quite a lot going on off the field. But yeah, 2020 sort of took off. That's sometimes what happens. And my 2020 performances and one-day cricket performances were really good, but red ball sort of fell off a little bit. So next year we'll be trying to correct that in terms of red ball performances.
Yeah, well, you had a nice 100 at the end of the season. It set up a victory for us.
Yeah, I did. Well, I know it's always nice to finish well, but this next year I want to be starting well as well. It was almost didn't bat the time that I wanted to in 4-day cricket. For one reason or another. So it's just applying myself for a bit longer, and that'll be the work through the winter to get ready for next year. Absolutely.
Anyway, career highlights.
Yeah.
Just it must have been a sort of an ongoing career highlight last season's 2020. Anything else that really stick in your mind? There's that 100 at Cheltenham you mentioned last time, but
I think. Certainly the start that I got off to, the 170 not out at Cheltenham, that was a huge career highlight for me. Just as I say, it sort of just gave me the confidence and the belief that this is where I belong. Then certainly winning Division 2 in 2012 was a massive career highlight. And along the way there, my highest score, 231 not out in the partnership with Tom Poynton, which sort of saved the game for us, but also got into a position where we could win, and in a way it nullified Northant's chances of getting anywhere near the top sort of two in the table. So it cancelled them out in the title race. So that game was a huge highlight. Winning it obviously here against Hampshire was pretty special. Those are ones that stick out. trying to think.
So you actually celebrated more the team at the moment.
Yeah, I know. I suppose so. But that's a career highlight for me in winning the championship. So celebrating the team. 600s last year was pretty special to get that amount of hundreds in a championship season. I was that for me it was another sort of career highlight. And then, as you mentioned already, the 2020 this year to end the season as the 2020 MVP or PCA MVP was a pretty special.
You got a nice trophy for that one?
I had to give it back, but yeah, no, I did.
you got a nice photograph of you with the trophy.
I've got a photograph with me and the trophy, and I've got a bottle of champagne which is still sitting in my in my office at home, which is quite nice.
Any particular indication of when that might be opened?
When we win the 2020 next year, that'll probably it'll be safe for that.
Okay, you might earn a few more on you.
That'll be great. We can open a whole lot.
Right. Career highlights, yeah. Also amongst them, any things which relate to everything else you've discussed. So something that's worked out really well, and you put the plan in place, and everything's gone right for you.
Sure. I think, yeah, in terms of, I think, well, a couple of the highlights for me was, I mentioned them earlier, was the 200s I scored in 2014. And that season in particular, we wanted to improve our one-day cricket, and we had a couple of ways to do it, both in the field, and we set some targets in terms of our achievements, the sort of scores we wanted to get to. So the whole planning around that aspect of things was a highlight. We lost to Notts in the quarterfinal, but in getting there, we had a few impressive wins, and the way we played our cricket that season was, for me, was quite rewarding in terms of what we set in place from a tactics point of view, and what evolved and developed through the season. So I'd say that was pretty special. And then clearly 2012, in terms of how we planned and processed that, from the start when Crick spoke to me, about 30 metres down that way, and asked me if I wanted to do the captaincy, and then the sort of 3-4 months that we spent in the winter planning and preparing for the season, and then what happened on the field was just. It was cherry on top, really.
Yeah, okay. Another way on your career around all the grounds, which ones have been your favourite? Well, not just one, maybe two.
Yeah, okay. Well,
including second 11 ground.
Well, not from a favourite run point, from a runs point of view. Certainly not a favourite, but playing at Lords is a dream come true. As a child. Even as a South African growing up, Lords is the place you want to play. So for me, that was pretty special. And being able to have a testimonial dinner there this year was amazing. In the long room, it's a pretty special place. My favourite ground is probably it is Chesterfield actually. Yeah. In terms of performances with the bat, I've been successful there, but also the whole atmosphere and the aura around the ground, from when you come in, just the vibe you get in the pavilion. Everyone sits quite close. The trees that's around the ground. It's a quick outfield. People literally sitting on the ropes. That is a special place to play cricket, and I enjoy every time we head up there. July, August time. It's special to go out for the week at Chesterfield.
Okay, well, that's we could ask you a few other questions, but we've run out of time again. So once again, Wayne, thanks very much for all your time.
Pleasure, thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot.